Coffee brew ratios is one of the key factors that you need to learn and master, either as a beginner barista or as a professional barista, each time that you're going to brew a perfect cup of coffee. And this is because coffee brew ratio determines the taste, flavor, the strength, or the lightness of your cup of coffee. In this video, I would like to share with you my experience as a coffee barista when it comes to the coffee brew ratios and how you can use them so that you can brew a perfect cup of coffee. I'm the Rode Barista. This channel is all about sharing coffee knowledge so that you can make a perfect cup of coffee. Today we'll be talking about the coffee brew ratios. These act as a guideline for us as baristas or coffee makers, either at home or in a coffee shop. One of the key things that comes into your head every time you're going to brew a cup of coffee is a coffee brew ratio. Simply means the amount of coffee that you need to the amount of water so that you can extract the desirable flavors into your cup of coffee using a particular brew method, whether it's a drip coffee or an espresso coffee. It's very important that you understand the coffee brew ratio that you use. Take for instance, if you come across a ratio of 1:2, this means you need 1 gram of grinded coffee and you'll multiply it with 2 grams of water so that you can get your yield out. We'll start with the basic one, which is the espresso coffee brew ratio. It's a 1:2. This is the standard brew ratio for the espresso. Each 1 gram of grinded coffee beans is equivalent to 2 grams of water. So when you're extracting your espresso, no matter how many grams you use, you'll need to multiply it by 2 so that you get your yield out. In our coffee shop, we use a 20-gram basket. So we'll grind 20 grams of coffee beans, then we'll extract 40 grams out as our yield out for our espresso. This is the standard brew ratio for our espresso coffees. And also, you can break it down into the restaurator. The standard ratio is a 1:1 ratio, meaning we are going to use each 1 gram of grinded coffee is equivalent to 1 gram of water. So when we are extracting our restaurator, we're going to use the same 20 grams of grinded coffee, result in 20 grams as our yield out for our restaurator. You can adjust it into a longo, which has a ratio of 1:3. This means each 1 gram of grinded coffee is equivalent to 3 grams of water. So whenever we're making our longo, we're going to use a 20-gram basket and we'll extract 60 grams out as our yield out for our longo. Then for our pour-overs and the dripping coffees, the V60, Chemex and the Kalita, we use a 1:15 ratio. This means each 1 gram of grinded coffee is equivalent to 15 grams of water. So for our pour-overs, we use same 20 grams of grinded coffees, then we will extract 300 grams out as our yield out for our V60s and the pour-overs. This is a simple guide whenever you're brewing a pour-over or dripping coffee. And for our cold brew, we use a 1:10 ratio. This means each 1 gram of grinded coffee beans is equivalent to 10 grams of water. So when we are making our cold brew, we are going to grind our 20 grams of grinded coffees, then we're going to multiply it by 10 so that we can achieve our yield out, which is 200 for our cold brew. This is a guideline whenever you're brewing your cold brew coffee. AeroPress is one of the brew methods that has different ranges of coffee brew ratio, starting a 1:4 to a 1:10 and also a 1:15. So you should understand, if you're using a 1:4 ratio, this will give you a more concentrated coffee. So you're going to use each 1 gram of grinded coffee, then you multiply it by 4 so that you get your output, which is 80 as our yield out for our AeroPress. If you're using the 1:4 ratio, then if you're using a 1:10 ratio, each 1 gram of grinded coffee is equivalent to 10 grams of water. So if you use 20 grams of grinded coffee, you're going to multiply it with 10 grams of water, which will result in 200 grams as your yield out for the AeroPress. And if you're using a 1:15 ratio, as I said earlier, you're going to use 20 grams multiply it by 50, then get your yield out, which is 300 grams as your yield out. To use these brew ratios and come out with a perfect cup of coffee, you need to understand what you need to have. You need to have a weighing scale. This is very important. It will help you have a consistency, and also it will help you whenever you're going to adjust these brew ratios. You will know which measurements you're using, and it will help you have a consistent cup of coffee. You also need to use good quality of water. This is very important. Not every water is used to brew coffee, and also you need to have good quality of coffee beans. Even if you're using the right brew ratios, but you're using a low quality of coffee beans or already grinded coffee beans which has lost flavors, you won't receive any flavors into your cup of coffee. And whenever you want to adjust your coffee brew ratios, whenever you increase on the brew ratio, you're going to add in more water. This will lead to a lighter cup of coffee. And whenever you reduce your coffee brew ratio, you're going to come up with a more stronger cup of coffee. This means you have more body in this cup. Together with the perfect grind size, you can come up with the perfect cup of coffee. You can check out my video. I'll link it up here. It's about the grind size and different brew methods. By following the guidelines that I used in this video and to put it together with the perfect brew ratio, this will help you and will make it more simple for you to come up with a perfect cup of coffee so that you can enjoy.